That was cool as hell.
That's
That's
great music.
that's my favorite band of the minute of the last kind of maybe a year actually.
Who was that? That was fantastic.
Yeah. Ganser band. We just did some shirts for them.
Wow.
They gave all their money from Bandcamp Friday to Bail Fund, Black Lives Matter, and whatever else.
Wow.
And I saw them. Where did I see them play? Reggie's Rock Club, maybe.
Oh, nice.
And it's just, to me, it's fucking 1979. I mean, I hope they don't think that that's insulting.
Shouldn't.
Um,
I thought it was PJ
yeah.
Harvey. I was like, there's some
Yeah,
PJ Harvey and Savages. There's some attitude coming out of that.
And
I like it.
fucking bit of Gang of Four sprinkled across the top there, under the broiler with a little cheesy. Yeah. So welcome everybody. We got a ton of people in in our rooms here. Looks like we're heading towards 50 people, which is really fucking great. So a little bit different we're combining two things today. Our regular MmX weekly event and our weekly Tour Smart online class. I thought we'd do that because our guest today, Matt Eidson, has toured with everybody, a lot of people. But I'll introduce Matt in a second. First, I want to do some business, as they say. For those of you tuning into MmX, Midwest Music Expo, our next MmX is Friday the 25th of September. And from the UK, we're going to have James Wood Otwater, who is an engineer, producer. He's also based in Chicago. He's kind of backwards and forwards from his studio, the Coda Room in Chicago. And I just saw a picture of him outside Abbey Road, which sounds great, but I mean, I guess anybody could go and stand outside Abbey Road and go like, yeah, the Beatles, right? But he's done events at Abbey Road, and he has 31 Grammy nominations. He's worked with Kanye, Yo-Yo Ma, Rihanna. Who else, Molly? Like
Kurt Elling, my personal favorite.
Who's that?
He's a jazz singer.
Okay. He's got awards in gospel.
He's all over the place.
Oh my goodness. He's kind of like, and he is so super nice. So that's MmX on Friday the 25th of September. And then October 2nd, this also might be interesting for our Tour Smart people. Ace Piva is a touring professional. He's based up in Canada. And so he has Under the Bridge out of Toronto, which is a mental health and wellness, which, man, if that isn't a subject, I mean, it is. I don't know what I'm going to say. If that isn't a subject, then it is. It fucking is a subject. Mental health and wellness, stress, lunatics, insecurities, anxiety. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I want to get into that with you as well today, Matt.
Sure.
So, as I said, thank you all for coming. We're about to hit 50 people, which is super cool. I want to introduce our guest today, which is Matt Eidson. He has worked as a marketing professional for major record labels, as an intern for labels, on the road with U2. I don't know why I say the Pussycat Dolls, because that seems like highly inconsequential. Flaming Lips, shit. Who else?
I can Filter, Chili Peppers, Snow Patrol, a little bit with Madonna, Mr. Bungle.
You never mentioned Madonna. I've known you for like 8 years. This is the first time
I didn't
Madonna.
do much. I didn't do much. It was just kind of a studio thing, and I used to work with her little brother Mario.
Okay.
I did some stuff for the Foo Fighters, Static X. I did the first few records with them. Let's see, Living End, Built to Spill, Chris Isaac. I did a lot of stuff with Chris Isaac. Always had a good time with those guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I did big bands. I did small bands. I did Wilco. I did a ton of stuff for Yankee Hotel. No, actually, Summer Teeth.
You
And
know,
then, go ahead.
Who's that guy in Wilco?
Jeff Tweedy.
Jeff Tweedy.
Yeah.
I talked to him a bit. He's one of his favorite albums is Flowers of Romance.
Really?
Yeah, there's a chapter in his book
It's fantastic.
where it seemed really great, and then it went completely off the rails. Like he still has the copy he brought home and listened to in his bedroom, and his dad came in and went with the needle across the record.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is a great story. And then he said something like, perhaps it was for the best, or like the whole thing
okay.
just, yeah. I think that's what he said, or maybe it was just my insecurities kicking in.
Here's a quick thing about Jeff Tweedy. One of his first jobs was at a record store, I think in Springfield, Illinois, from his future manager, Tony. So Tony hired him as like a 16-year-old kid to work at his record store. Then they started Uncle Tupelo, and Tony was involved all the way through just recently. Yeah. So I can't remember Tony's last name. He wore yellow sunglasses.
So I sense when you said, when you went across the word his manager, I sensed you were going a little bit, you did not rate the manager highly. Or maybe it was just me picking up on something. I don't know.
Tony was very by the books. He and I had to come to Jesus. We were shooting an EPK for Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and he thought there were too many label people there. And I was like, Tony, I would love to go home. You let me call my boss, Larry. I will get out of your hair tomorrow morning. I don't want to be here. I can get so much more done at my office, and I haven't seen my bed in probably 3 months. So if there's too many people here, I'm going to leave. Ever since then, he was fine with me. Because I honestly did not want to be in Springfield, Illinois. So
if I don't get to talk about people who are their own worst enemies more than the world crushing them, would somebody remind me to come back to that? Because I think it's a thing. I hear so many stories of artists just not understanding that the people from whatever entity they're dealing with, Pepsi Cola, Miller High Life, the record label, the agency, the management company, also happen to be people. And it's like, it will be so easy to like remember somebody's name and buy them. What happens if you buy somebody who you think should be buying you a drink, if you buy them a drink?
Mm-hmm.
People will freak out.
Yeah.
Instead, most artists will, thanks for buying me the drink, and then pour it over the most important person's head as an interesting statement and destroy their career at the same time.
I've worked with that band too.
Okay, so this is great. There's 3 screens full of people, which is
nice.
Great. I see Jed is here from New Zealand.
Hey.
If anybody is here from somewhere interesting, and now I didn't mean to say that. I don't mean to say that wherever you're from isn't interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, Sunday session, we had people from Berlin. Greta was on the line from Berlin. Jed was on the line from New Zealand. Ted Cohen was on the line from Los Angeles. If anybody wants to shout out Yeah. El Salvador? You fucking kidding me?
Look at that.
David, all right, man. Well, okay. Oregon.
Hi,
Oh,
David.
be safe.
Georgetown,
Some
Georgetown.
Canadiana over here.
What? Indiana?
Crooklyn.
Canadiana.
Oh, Indiana. Yeah. Well, are you somewhere between Toronto and Niagara Falls still?
No, I'm back in Toronto. We got to start shooting this video.
Okay. Well, that's good. Anybody else want to jump in?
Spokane, Washington.
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus, be safe, man.
Oh man, I've been there. My brother went to school at Whitworth in Spokane.
Boise.
We built the spills
We
for
played
him.
in Boise. We played in Boise. We did Pigface in Boise 18 years ago, and there was this really kind of hip group of kids skateboarding. They looked like they just knocked over a Hot Topic store or something. And I'm like, what are all these hip? What are you guys doing in Boise? You know, I'm thinking, wow, there's a scene here, and they were so petulant. They're like, our parents moved from LA.
Oh boy.
All these businesses were relocating to Boise, and these kids were just pissed off.
We were supposed to see you guys here in Spokane. Pigface was supposed to hit the Berserk in right when COVID hit. So we're looking forward to next time.
Well, let me make one more announcement before we get into it with Matt. You know, we've been talking, one of the things that I like to talk about is, yes, I understand. I can't take my 27-piece band on the road. We can't even put the band on stage, never mind putting the band on stage and put an audience in the room, right? I can't sweat and bleed and spit all over everything. I would be like arrested, I guess, I don't know. But what can we do? Well, we can play everywhere all at once, even in people's living rooms and places too small for us to fit. And that's what we're doing. We just sent out an email an hour ago. Molly and I have been working on something for a little bit of time. So for those of you pissed off about the lack of Pigface, there'll be some Pigface happening within 3 weeks' time. And it's going to be super cool. And there's a 5-camera show that's just fucking amazing. But there'll also be lots of this, which never happens with Pigface, except randomly in the middle of some other exhausting disaster, right? So, and I think that is a direct result of talking through some things with all of you in the touring class and trying to think, all right, we can't do this, we can't do that, what can we do? And we're gonna do some pretty cool shit and help out a bunch of our friends with venues across the country, if not around the world. I know Barsai in Tokyo, you can only fit 15 people in the entire bar, right? So we couldn't even go there for a drink, but they can host a Pigface show. So it's just going to be really awesome. All right.
Good on you, man. Fantastic.
Yes, Jed, you get to attend a Pigface show.
I'll try and get Gus in on that too, mate.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah. Awesome. There's a solution in everything, don't you agree?
Yeah, there is. If you want to sit and cry, I mean, I'm not in a 4-piece band or a 5-piece band or a 6-piece band. I'm in a 27 fucking piece band with 8 drum kits and 3 bass players. And
yeah.
So if we can make the most of it and triumph in the face of adversity, then anybody who can't do that isn't trying. That's not fair of me to say that.
Yeah.
You don't have to invent the model for yourself. Okay, yeah, no whiners, Joe. Unless I was going to say, yeah, okay. I thought that was a beer in Texas, but that's Shiner, isn't it? But it's one thing to think through something, and I know that can be difficult, but all anybody needs to do is just have a look at the template that we're creating, with the machinery behind the template and just copy that, you know. So so there. Okay, so today we are lucky, and please everybody think about some questions for Matt as we're going through. It's just, you get to talk to me all the time, you know, and I know that that's awesome, but I think it's way more awesome to talk to more people than me. So I want to welcome Matt to MmX and to our Tour Smart class. Could we start at the beginning, Matt, and talk us through, how did you even get started in the music business? Or did you get started in the music business? How did it all start?
I fumbled my way into it. I've been a huge music fan since I was a kid, and I know everybody says that, but it's there are some records that I still turn to that might have even saved my life. I've always saved every dollar I could to buy a cassette, to buy an 8-track, to buy anything I could. But when I went to college, just real quick, high school, a couple English teachers took me to see REM and Guadalcanal Diary in Portland at the Civic Auditorium.
Teachers are these.
What's that?
That's an amazing English teacher.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mr. Poindexter. That was his name. Bob Poindexter. He was I think it was Bob Poindexter. Anyways, Mr. Poindexter. And his common law wife, Linda Bannerman. We all went down to see REM and Guadalcanal Diary. We ended up meeting the band afterwards.
Wow.
And I still have a couple flyers that they signed for us. And that just kind of changed. That just really hit me over the head, because I really respected Mr. Poindexter, great English teacher. And we dissected lyrics in his class. And that really had a huge impact on me. And then in college, I applied, I think it was my junior year, so that would have been 1991, 1991, to work at the radio station. They had like this I went to Western Washington University, and they had this huge red square, what they called it. And they had all these tables, like, you know, here's the outdoor club, here is, you know, junior Democrats, junior Republicans, whatever. And then the radio station people were there. So I filled out a piece of paper and I said, you know what, I'd love to be a part of, you know, just let me review records. I got a call early in January, right before the second semester started. And I was going to drop out of college and go find myself, which pretty much means going back to my shitty hometown and just staring at the wall. But I got a phone call to do a 2-hour radio show, because a lot of the students were gone and they needed people to fill the air time. So I said, okay, let me see if this works. I grabbed a stolen milk carton, queued up all my cassettes with my finger, got them all ready to go, and grabbed a bunch of CDs and some 7-inches and some records. Walked in the snow up to the radio station. And walking to the radio station, I had to walk by the registrar's office where that pink slip was due that day. And I said, you know, if I have a good radio show, if I'm gonna have fun, I'm not gonna turn in this pink slip. And that was the worst radio show I've ever done. I said about 1,000 times, which I still kind of do, but it was just 2 hours of the best thing. And I actually recorded the show. It was January 7th, 1991. I just found the cassette. And it's terrible, but the music's great. But that changed things for me. Because of that, I stayed in school. And I just developed some great friendships with some of the people at the radio station, and later became music director and then program director. And I turned that into a tour of South by Southwest and met some record labels and gave them a resume. And then when I graduated, I moved down to Seattle, and then was an intern for Maverick, Mammoth, and Interscope Records. And I just went around town and hung up posters and gave away tickets and free promos. And then I got a job at a record store in Seattle called Orpheum Records. And then,
is that still there?
No.
Okay.
No, Bruce sold it. I think it's now a Thai restaurant. But kind of coming full circle, I was with some friends called The Living End I worked with them at Warner, and they were playing in Seattle on tour, and a friend of theirs from a band called the Super Jesus from Australia opened up a bar right across the street from where that record store used to be.
Oh.
So it was just, yeah. But with working at that record store, I met everybody. We had all the people come in, and it was a weird record store. Nobody wanted to talk to the stars, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. What are you looking for? You know? So from there on, I just made connections with people at labels and did some stuff at Sub Pop for a little bit, and met all sorts of our regular customers who were musicians.
Were you being paid to work at the record store?
Yes, but everything I spent went back into music.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was also the receiving manager, so I got all the stuff before we put it out on the floor. So it was just, I was pretty much working for free. And then working for free for 3 record labels. So yeah, and in Seattle it was a lot of ramen.
How did how did those label internships, were you doing 3 internships at the same time?
Absolutely. All for free. Yep.
Okay. All right. So let me just like put a pin in that.
Sure.
And if we've got one of our MmX students on the call, I want you to take that audio and loop it. I think some students these days think, well, I've done an internship. Where's my record label? You know, like, and here you are, 3 unpaid internships at the same time.
Yep.
Wow.
I worked with bands that nobody even heard of. Vanilla Trainwreck, Chainsaw Kittens. Yeah. Prick, which people knew Prick.
You know, Prick. That's
yeah.
my friend is in.
Brenna was big on Prick too.
Was Tom in Prick, or did you just know the guy? Who was the guy? Pete? Phil?
I loved that back in the day. I loved it.
Yeah.
Prick, that was a great record.
Are you talking about Kevin McMahon?
That's what it was. There you go, Brenna. Yeah, there's Chris Brenna.
He's Prick.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Martin?
Very good. Here we are, back together again.
I know. I'm following in your footsteps. I have my camera up because I'm working on my thesis. I'm getting my master's in December.
Good deal, man.
I figured if Martin Atkins can get a master's degree, so can I, damn it.
What the hell? What the hell does that mean?
I love you. You know that.
Oh.
That's by the way, that's future Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee.
Yeah, I just saw that today. I think that's really great that that Trent did that.
Yeah, there's like
Chris, that's really amazing, man.
Thanks. Stay tuned. There's going to be a couple cool things happening with it when it gets a bit closer. But Trent hasn't finalized the plans yet, so I don't know what they are.
I mean, you know, you can all say, "Oh yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of fucking," but it's like it's a big effing deal, you know. It really is a big deal, and I'm really proud of you. That's fucking great. Congratulations.
Means I'm old. That's all.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
I actually dyed my beard gray just because I wanted to keep up with everybody. So.
Oh, I was gonna say your beard is looking lush and super Santa Claus there, man.
I'm going for it. I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be like Captain Caveman. I'm gonna pull out like a sledgehammer and screwdriver, Shetland pony.
You know, going gray just means you've lived long enough to turn gray. And that we didn't have an early demise like so many of our
exactly.
Many of our friends have over this decade.
Is it gray or is it white?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you're at you've done 3 internships.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a record store.
Yes.
But it sounds to me like a bit of a coup that you got to go to South by Southwest. But it wasn't $1,100 a ticket back then, was it?
Oh, not 94. No, I told the people at the Associated Students I would pay for my ticket if they paid for my badge, and I also paid for my hotel too. So I just wanted to go, and I mean I saw Willie Nelson. No, I saw Johnny Cash, just for about 5 minutes. Beck opened up for Johnny Cash, and Beck came out with a lawn blower like a leaf blower, was doing all sorts of weird shit. Then I saw Lucinda Williams, and I saw the Butthole Surfers open up for the Flaming Lips, and they both had like surgery and birth videos going on and car
Same old
crash
thing.
videos.
Yeah.
I was in an altered state, and that was not fun. Texas is the altered state that I was in. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So-
it was, I didn't expect them to do it, and so I kind of sweetened the pot. I'm like, hey, here's the problem, here's a solution. I will pay for half my trip if you guys just buy my badge, and they did, and it was great.
Did you go to many South Bys, just to get sidetracked for a second?
I went to probably 8 to 10 of them.
Yeah.
Mainly for work. Yeah, it was. I always had bands on tour there, and it was just what you did in March.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just what you did.
It's strange that most people have got, I don't know, Christmas or summer vacation or whatever, and South by was kind of a yearly marker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but okay. So you're at the record store in Seattle,
Yes.
and then what happens?
Well, one of the people I was an intern for at Interscope, I just said, hey, if you hear of anything, just keep me in mind. And she was leaving Interscope, and then she was starting at Warner Brothers, and she needed an assistant. So she called me up and called me at the record store and asked me if I wanted to fly down to Burbank and check it out. And I did. And it was utterly fantastic. I saw Tom Petty just like sitting on this guy, John Bug. I don't know if you remember John Bug. He was the head of video for forever. They were working on a video, and Tom was just kind of sitting, dangling his feet off of a little kitchenette right by Carl Scott's office. And I just walked by to it. Hey, and he goes, hey. Like, all right, that was cool. It was great. I mean, and then I walked around the halls, and I saw Ted Templeman's office, and I saw, Stephen Baker's office, and it's like, wow, this is the ski lodge. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I pulled the trigger, and I started on August 5th, 1996. And I drove down to California with my friend Rick. I moved into a house that was later condemned for a gas leak about a month later. And I didn't care. I put all my stuff in the front room and drove from Sherman Oaks, actually not too far from where Rena used to live, Sherman Oaks to Burbank. And yeah, $11 an hour, no benefits, didn't care. I was happy as anything. So it was great. It was I learned a lot just from doing that. Yeah.
So, and am I right in thinking at one point you were driving an ice cream van?
I did. That was one of my many jobs in Seattle. Yeah. Before I got a job at the record store, some friends of mine from the radio station in Bellingham had a place to live right by Green Lake in Seattle. And they said, you can live in, I actually lived in a closet. And we can hook you up with a place to live for next to nothing. And we have a job waiting for you if you want. Everybody in this house worked at this ice cream place, and they needed a driver to drop off ice cream. And so I got to know every nook and cranny in Seattle, where to park a car, where not to park a car. And I learned a lot from that too. I mean, every shitty job you have, you can take something from that job and really learn from it. So,
Plus, I'm not saying you did this, but I mean, the possibilities of dealing drugs from an ice cream van. I mean, come on, it's amazing.
what was those, Cheech and Chong?
So no, but I just wanted to bring that up because once again, right, we have all kinds of things to talk to you about, but I don't want anybody to think that their pathway is so preordained or linear.
Oh God, no.
That a spell driving an ice cream truck wouldn't enhance their experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just.
I used to roof, and that's one thing Chris Isaac and I talked about. Chris used to roof too. And we just started talking about that. It's like, what a terrible job that was. But I did that in college, and every, first semester back, I did so well in college because I did not want to be a roofer because that is tough work. So, but yeah, I've had a lot of odd jobs, and I just took something from every one, and they all applied, whether it's customer service, whether it's learning how to talk to people, whether it's, project management. Everything you do is project management. Waking up in the morning and going to bed, you got to lay out, you have a to-do list, and that's project management. People use it. It's a great skill to have too.
Yeah, I think I'll say to students sometimes that I've run so many Gantt charts, which is a project management thing that you put on the wall, and you see the critical path. If we don't have the album jackets, even if we have the albums, if we don't have the album jackets, right? So you come up with the sequence you have to accomplish something. And after doing that for a while, that's just in your head. And
It is.
These timelines are going in your head, and you'll wake up sweating, going, oh my goodness, we still have to do the center labels for the vinyl thing, or the, yeah. Okay, so you're in LA.
Mm-hmm.
You're making $11 an hour.
Happy as a pig in shit too.
And what are you doing? Are you doing day-to-day label stuff? Any of that go get some coffee bullshit? Or
well, yes, I was this woman's assistant, and I did everything. I made a ton of cassettes, and I duplicated cassettes. I did budgets. I did her travel. But one thing I really relished doing was getting to know people in other departments. That was one of the best things, because I was in project or product management, and we just, we came up with the marketing ideas, we did the budgets for the promo tours, and then we just kind of shipped it out to everybody else. So, but when I was there, we worked with the president, we worked with finance, we worked with legal, we worked with tour marketing or artist relations, which is near and dear to my heart, and international, and everybody. And that's how I was promoted a few times, just because if somebody needed something, I took care of it as quickly as I could, because I liked doing what I was doing, but I found out there were other areas I was more interested in. So yeah, it was great.
And was there stuff that you just didn't want to do, that you didn't like doing, but you just did it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to eat shit every once in a while because you get hungry. Yeah, it's
that was horrible. that was like that just okay.
I mean, it's true though. I mean, for every, no matter what activity someone asks you to do, there's a reason why. And when I was teaching, and when you and I were teaching, I would say this to our students. I would say that, don't think of somebody asking you to get coffee for them as a demeaning activity. The reason they're doing it is because they want to know if they can trust you or not with more valuable information. If you can get, a 10-person coffee order right, they might step up and go, hey, I tell you what, here's something that we might have for you later. You can be someone's assistant, or can you get everybody, all 30 people into one meeting for, I don't know, a Red Hot Chili Peppers tour meeting? Can you get Q Prime? Can you get the president? Can you get the head of international UK? I mean, if you can get everybody on one phone call, there's a skill and a mastery to that. And
right.
even just picking somebody up, you got to be there early. You got to do it. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stuff I was like, this is kind of dumb. And I sit back and I went, that's the reason I did it. Okay, it makes sense now. Light goes on. So
I was going to add to if you can get a 10-person coffee order correct and not forget my receipt.
Oh, the receipt is key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you get the receipt. Oh, I just ate this. I'm paying for this now. Then.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, there's just that's once again, that's where the project management all comes into play. It's, there's a bigger picture than just one thing.
I would do the first time, don't forget the receipt. It's really important to get the receipt, and here's why. Oh, and then the second time I wouldn't ask for a receipt. And then, you know, some interns like, and here's that receipt.
There you go.
Just like remember last time. And some interns are just like, you know, like their mind has been erased, and it's
Yeah, a big magnet's been put up here, and it's.
Okay, so when do you start going out on the road? Are there any steps? What leads to you going out on the road?
I went from product management to alternative marketing, which was I moved to Atlanta. I went from Burbank to Atlanta, and I traveled around with one of our regional marketing managers. His name was Jared, and we dealt with the smaller bands on Warner Brothers, which was we built the Spill, the Living End, the Flaming Lips, small bands like this. We would go to record stores throughout. I went to record stores throughout the Southeast, and just let them know what was coming down the pike. Then I was laid off from that job, and then I got a call from Carl Scott and Larry Butler. When I was at South by Southwest getting laid off, they called me and said, "Come out to Burbank. We have a job opening in artist relations. So come out in a couple weeks. We'll take care of you." So I went out, and it was because whenever Carl or Larry or Tucker or Linda or whoever needed something, I ran it right up to them. So they knew that I was a hustler, and I was hungry to do stuff, and I liked touring. I liked live shows, and I liked everything that department did. Larry looked like a high school principal. I remember sitting in marketing meetings. I'm like, who's this guy who looks like my uncle, who knows everything? And everybody would refer to Larry Butler because Larry did know everything. And yeah, so I was lucky enough for them to call me and say there's an opening, and I came back out, and 2 weeks later, I'm out on the road with Wilco and a band called Orgy and Chris Isaac and all sorts of, it was great. Filter was another band I spent a lot of time with.
Wow.
So
so can you talk us through some of the things that you, this is going to sound incorrect, but some of the things you saw on the road, like, so if you're in the planning process of the marketing for a tour, and you're seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff, like how the artist is with the store, with marketing, with the interviews, with will they do interviews? What would you start to see from artists that will be warning signs to you, or did you like, oh, this is going to go somewhere, or could you tell?
Well, a lot of artists wanted us on the road because it showed that they were a priority. There were some artists that did not want us on the road, and to me that was fine. I'm okay. I worked with all the smaller bands, and the smaller bands really wanted to be shown the ropes. Like Built to Spill, they were on CZ Records and Up Records out of Seattle, and then they got signed by this guy Joe McEwen to Warner, and they're just 3 or 4 guys from Boise and Seattle who had no idea about some of these areas. And here I come, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do we're gonna go do in stores at Let It Be Records in Minneapolis, and then down in the Valley, and then this and this and this. And by the way, by doing these in stores, we're getting free publicity, and I arranged to get you guys $100 worth of free music. So, I mean, it worked out. And many a band I did have to do the, tape down, we're in Cleveland, here's the radio station, and here's today's date, and here's who to thank. Same with the interviews in the morning and morning shows. And whenever you heard some band playing on the air in the morning or at night, or there was a meet and greet, or there was a stage announcement, somebody like me was kind of in the shadows going, okay, Anthony from the Chili Peppers, I know you're the coolest guy ever in your own mind, but you need to thank this radio station because they're playing the shit out of this terrible song of yours. That's all in here. But you have to remind them that, you know, a lot of times, you know, once you get signed to a label, that's when the work starts.
Yeah.
It's a contract. You have to do X amount because we're investing X amount into you. And a lot of like Chris Isaac. Chris was one of the funniest guys to ever deal with. The guys in Static X couldn't have been nicer. Absolute sweethearts. And then Built to Spill, I still keep in touch with those guys to this day, and the Snow Patrol guys. And it's, you know, you're lucky if you come away from this with some genuine friendships, because a lot of people can just view you as an arty fuffkin, you know, satin jacket, slick back hair, snapping fingers. I rallied against that. I just, you know, when I was done with my work, I would either go back to the hotel and start working again, or if it was a band I was in love with, like U2, I would sit behind the drum kit and just watch Larry go, God damn it, this is it. I'm at Staples Center, and that War record, I wore that record out. I wore out the War record. Just listening to it when I was 12 or 13. And then I came full circle. I was at Staples Center, and Larry just kind of looked around at me, and I smiled at him, and he goes, okay. Because he knew who I was. You know, we did a bunch of meet and greets and stuff, and I was done. I kind of was like, I'm just done. I'm just sitting there. Pull my headphones out. I get worked up about this story. I just loved watching it. It was great. It meant the world to me to be with that band in LA at a sold out show. And I was like, I'm done. It's kind of like when I met Steve Lillywhite. I was like, okay, I'm done. That's it.
Is there like an opposite of that story?
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Let's see. There are some. I worked a lot with a band called Orgy. Terrible. Just egomaniacs. Just, they had everything handed to them on a silver platter because of Korn, their relationship with Korn. Not nice guys, terrible musicians, treated everybody like shit.
But on a positive note,
they're not together anymore.
I did see, you know, I do a crowdfunding workshop in my DIY class, and they are my poster children for failed Kickstarters.
I showed that to my class as well. I'm like, this is how not to kickstart.
Right.
Yeah, don't attack your fans.
Their campaign was written, so it's all about the one-on-one connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'd be horrible at something like this, right? But their campaign was written by somebody else, helped put Orgy back in the international pedestal. Basically, they're saying, give us money so we can ignore you more than we used to.
Let's get that pedestal higher, so we really can't see your eyes. Yeah,
more security and distance between us and you, and we want you to pay for it. And the crowdfunding campaign was such a disaster that the singer's dad,
he was a pain.
got on social media, and it was fantastic, really.
Yeah,
you should have signed the singer's dad.
Oh, it's how not to crowdfund 101. Just one word, Orgy. Yeah.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you mentioned you were involved with a limousine. Was it Flaming Lips who did the 5 shows in a day or something with the limousine?
I did the Foo. Well, I did a thing with 50 Cent where we tried to do something in all 5 boroughs. But I did a limo tour with the Foo Fighters. There's a song called White Limo from Wasting Light. And a friend I used to work with at Interscope was now working over at Silva Management. And because of my tour stuff, he asked me to come on the road, and we just drew a whole road map. We did, I don't know how many miles, thousands of miles, one breakdown. And what we did is we just played the record out of the actual limo that they shot the video with, and Lemmy's driving the limo, and that limo smelled like cigarettes, BO, and and Axe body spray for probably 2 weeks. And great time, nicest band, and just sitting in the seat where Lemmy sat was a real big treat for me.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was fun. We drove all the way across the country twice, and ended up at record stores and played the record and then left.
Wow. But I'd much rather do that in an RV with a full-size refrigerator and you can stand up and walk around, because a limo for more than like 30 miles is not luxury.
I could not drive my car when I got back to LA. I had a Jetta at the time, and I couldn't drive it because I was so used to the car, like the seat when you try to recline, it just pinched you. And so it's most comfortable was you were maybe kind of hunched over. But I got back into my Jetta, and I was like, I don't know how to drive this car I've had for 10 years. So
tell me about the 5 boroughs with 50 Cent. That sounds pretty interesting.
that was, here's a little behind the scenes thing with record company marketing. 50 Cent's second record was coming out. I think it was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And they had to find somebody for him to pick a fight with. So they chose Kanye because both their records were coming out on the same day. So this was what, 2005, maybe 2006. And so in a marketing meeting, we're all just sitting there. It's like, okay, who can we pick a fight with? It's like, okay, how about Kanye? And so there was a whole thing. Whoever lost had to quit the music business. Whoever outsold the other one was the king. And then whoever didn't sell as much had to retire from music. 50 lost, and he's still making records. So, but I mean, it's good for PR. It's good for hyping the record up. And, 50 already had enough of a story behind him. So yeah, it was fun. We did as best as we could. We'll put it at that. Yeah.
So I could see you out on the road with Built to Spill or Jeff Tweedy and Will,
Yep.
or the Foo Fighters. How was it being out with 50 Cent?
Humbling. They were the nicest guys. All of everybody in G Unit were the sweetest guys. And Dre was pretty involved. Dre and M were pretty involved in this stuff. And everything 50 did was on time, if not early. I was in Vegas. We did some stuff with 50 Cent, and then Dre was in town because we had a Pussycat Dolls casino opening, or they had their own Pussycat Dolls review room at Caesar's Palace.
What did he have to do with that?
Dre?
Yeah.
Nothing. He just, Jimmy Iovine wanted him to show up. And
Okay.
my boss couldn't make it. So he goes, Matt, I need you to go over to the airport, over the private airport portion, and meet Dre and his security team and give them their room keys. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So I, shorts, a flip flop, and a t-shirt. I'm like, this won't be that bad. We take 2 bulletproof SUVs over to, what is it, McCarran Airport? I think it's in Vegas. And I have 6 hotel room keys. Dre is head of security and 4 other security guys. So I walk into the airport, and then I see these guys who look like they're probably with Dre. I got a text saying that, Dre's airport, or his plane landed at the airport. Look for tail number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I saw these guys walking in, and they're all probably 5 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot. Just really tough security guards. And I made the mistake of reaching in my back pocket to get the room keys to give to them. So I just went, hi guys, how are you? I reached in the back, grabbed all the room keys. I had 3 guns pointing at me within like 10 feet. Like, and then Klaus, who was Dre's security guy, was also U2's old security guy that we used quite a bit. And he was like, no, that's Matt. That's fine. He's fine. He's with Interscope. And I was like, room key, after I almost shat my pants. And it was, it was funny. It was just, they were great. It was like, got a little problem with with Suge Knight still. He's supposed to be here in Vegas. This is what's going on. So I learned a lesson. Never put hotel security keys in your back room or in your back pocket when you're working with Dr. Dre and his friends.
Good
So-
advice. Good
What's
advice.
that? Yeah. Oh yeah. But it was great though. We had to switch limos a couple times. They were the utmost professional guys. They were early for everything. We even got lost going up to their suite in Caesar's Palace, and we were wandering around with Dr. Dre and 6 security guys, and we walked by Elton John's red piano, and they decided to call me target. They said, if anybody's going to come shooting this, you're probably going to be the first one because you're the only white guy here. And I was like, they'll just think I'm the accountant. They don't care about me. So from then on, they called me target. So yeah, great guys though, absolute sweethearts. Yeah, very
So-
professional.
I want to let anybody who wants to ask you a question from, with all of the bands you've been involved with.
Absolutely.
I want anybody ask a question. But before I do, and while anybody's getting ready to ask a question, so you mentioned at the beginning that you're like a music guy.
Yeah.
And man, we used to, and I don't know if Chris was at Madison when I was in Madison, or I was just leaving when Chris arrived. I don't know, but you and me and Mike Bailey, who's sadly no longer with us,
Mhm.
also a record label guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like music. I'm a musician. I've got my own studio over there. But you guys, we go have coffee in the morning, and you were like little children,
Yeah.
like pulling like 5, 6, 7, 8 new albums every week out of your bags. I've got this. I couldn't get that. Oh, I found this. I've got this. Have you heard that?
Yep.
Is that how you still are with music?
Absolutely.
Still listening and discovering?
Absolutely. I'm glad that I left my tenure in the music business still a fan of music, because a lot of people aren't. They don't want to hear this stuff. I still get excited every Friday when music comes out. I have a calendar of stuff that's coming out, and I have a radio show, and I play what I want when I want, and it's just great. I mean, I can play a bunch of B-sides from Husker Du, and then play the Glands, and then play big country, and then anything from Clan of Zymox if I want to. I mean, it's I can just I mean, and there's just so much great music out there. You can't just listen to one genre. There's so much. Oh my God. Yeah. I love it. It's my thing. It saved my life.
One of the, so, I mean, do you mean that?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. It has been there for me. It's a security blanket for me. It's my favorite pillow. It's my favorite pair of sweatpants. It's my favorite hat. It just brings you back to maybe that first time hearing it, or but after you're a fan of something, and then you go on, I used to read who worked on it, where it was recorded, how long it took, who was the engineer, who was the producer, who was this, who was that, and then lucky enough to either meet one of the producers of it, like when I met Steve Lillywhite, or going on tour with U2, or even Built to Spill. Nobody really gave a shit about Built to Spill at the label, or the Flaming Lips. The Flaming Lips almost got dropped every week, but that was my vein of music, and I also worked with Larry Carlton too. I mean, I did some jazz stuff too, but it was just, it's just there for you. No questions asked, no nothing. You throw the record on, you throw the CD, you throw the cassette on, and nobody can mess with you. You're in your happy zone for a while. And that's to me, the music is the great regulator. It's something that you can argue passionately about. I love arguing with people about music. But it's just one of those things that it honestly has saved my life. It kept me from dropping out of college. I lost a lot of friends to substance abuse in Seattle, and they didn't want to get this big. They just wanted to make music just to exercise some demons, get out some work out some issues. I just finished this book by Mark Lanigan called Sing Backwards and Weep, and it's a beautiful book. And then reading about Bruce and John and at Sub Pop, and then Jay Mascis, and then Kurt and Lane Staley and my buddy Dean Overton. It's just like, wow. It's wow. He would have been number 2 on my Deadpool if I would have known what a tortured soul he was. But yeah, it just yeah. I love music more than anything.
So, but it's interesting to me. I absolutely understand when somebody goes back to the album that got them through a period, or the soundtrack to their whatever period in their life. But you're just discovering, it's rare for me. I listen to stuff or I make stuff, but the Cancer Band that we played at the beginning, that got me excited. Like, new band, I'm like, I fucking love this. And part of it was it reminded me of some stuff from my misspent youth, but music's pretty fucking wild, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
There's no blueprint to it. It's uncharted territory, and the more crazy, the more experimental, the more you go out of your comfort zone, the better it can be. Nobody wants to hear the same record made by the same artist over and over again. I mean, maybe you do, and good on you if you do. But
sometimes the label does. Sometimes the label does.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that with a band from Beijing. Made their first album, and it was drum machine, bass, guitar. Like, okay, and it started to get a bit of a following, especially over in China, and then we go to make the second album. Like, we've bought a keyboard, and I'm like, no, what the fuck, It was. I just felt it was like, establish yourselves and then go off on a tangent. Yeah. Let's not start with the tangents before nobody even knows it's a tangent from something.
Yeah.
But,
well, and
fucking try to Luke.
That's the thing.
Luke,
I mean,
nobody even knows.
I have no idea who that was. I can't find who that was.
He was pissed though. Stephanie. It was Steven Gonzalez.
Okay. Hey, Steve. So maybe that's the owner has. I'm sorry. I'm just reading through the chat.
What's going on?
I something about interns. Okay, all right. No such thing as bad music. I'm gonna disagree with you there, Christina.
Yeah, there's. Oh boy.
Sorry.
You ever heard Nickelback?
Well, I wasn't gonna go there because we do have Canadians on the call. Are they Canadian?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
No, I was gonna go. I was gonna go to Shopping Cart Man, who was a guest musician on stage with Pigface, and we were no stranger to experimentation. Matt Schultz built something called an ATG, an anti-tank guitar, which was metal cables that he played with saws and files with guitar pickups. It was pretty amazing. So when this guy comes up in North Carolina with a shopping cart covered in guitar pickups, we were all just like, plus it was on wheels. So it's like fantastic. And then it was an outdoor show, and everybody in Pigface was just really excited about Shopping Cart Man. There was a vibe around the whole camp. Shopping Cart Man. And as he wheels the shopping cart out, it's covered in Christmas tree lights, which we didn't expect. And it was like shopping cart man goes to Vegas, you know, and then he started making his music on the shopping cart, and we just wheeled him straight off the other side of the stage. It's like, why?
Get the big hook and slowly pull him off.
Yeah, it was really, oh my goodness.
I hate to interrupt, but we got some questions in the chat.
Good day. Well, questions in the chat, and anybody want to unmute themselves and ask Matt a question, that would be great.
Ollie Jaffrey has his hand up. I'm not sure if that means he would like to speak or if he just has it up or.
Indeed, I would like to speak.
We love
Go for
But I also have this really disruptive out here, so forgive me if he's not going up to bed. He's not listening to me, so I'm giving up on that. Anyway, nice to meet you, Matt.
Hey, how are
Thank
you?
you. Thanks for being here. You're also very kind to me back in May. You were in the listening panel, and you liked my sitar track.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah.
Grateful for you to.
Yeah, absolutely. Ollie.
Just obviously you've got this great experience world that has now since changed so rapidly. and with marketing promotion in the current state of affairs, I'd like to know your feedback and try to keep it. Obviously there's opportunities with every problem situation. What do you see are some of the opportunities in our unique circumstance, given the tools available to us and the technology that's available? And the current state of the music business.
Boy, the current state of the music business, it's a completely different animal than it was 5 minutes ago. Oddly enough, the labels are making a ton of money off of streaming. So when they say they don't have money, they are making they're making cash. I think another thing is, you know, aside from there is money there, is that when last I was at the last label I worked at was Ipecac, and we were still doing things pretty much the old school way. But now you can get your music heard anywhere by anybody at any time. And there's so many fanzines out there. There's blogs. There's just so many ways to expose people to your music these days, which we didn't have before. And good music will prevail, I think. And there's opportunities for TV shows, for YouTube original TV shows, for Vivo TV shows. A lot of people just want to market music cheaply and put it on their TV shows or on their soundtracks these days. So I would suggest getting some people who have some connections to some music supervisors. And one thing I've helped some people here in Madison do is just get some of their music put on local newscasts as feeds, you know, or like the bed going into the show and out of the show. Hell, Bob Mould did that for the Daily Show. Bob Mould did that. He also did music for WWE, for wrestling. So I mean, there's experiences, and there's ways to get your music out there. You just need to really not be too precious with it, you know, which is tough because it's your music. It's coming from here, and it's coming, you know, from your heart, your brain, and your gut. But I think people should not be too precious with it. They should be open to any possibility. So,
and that's really difficult. I think that you have to kind of train for that. Like, just have somebody punch you in the face constantly, because you're going to sit down with somebody, Ali, and there you are with your sitars, and you're all about the sitars. They're going, we love this track, we love it. We just need to lose the sitars, and you know, and you just got to. If you train for these moments, you can take that punch, you know, and yeah.
I worked with a band called Corner Shop, and a part of their
yeah, of course, from Britain.
To Ginger, and they were like, yeah, we really don't hear it with the sitars. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. That's the whole. That's the thing. That yeah. yeah, and a band I worked with, Built to Spill, for a long time. They were offered the theme song for the show Mad Men. They had a song called Liar. And Doug just went, no thanks. Like, you've got to be shitting me. Here's yeah, he's now labelless, and nobody wants to really work with him. But it was like, he could have paid a lot of people in his inner circle very well if he just would have said, sure, take the song Liar and have it open up the show Mad Men. Who cares if it, nobody knew how big it was going to be, but you just never know. You just really never know. There are marketing companies all over the place that will get your music in shopping centers, in grocery stores, and those count as spins. Some people might view it as kind of cheesy to, literally walking down the cheese aisle and go, hey, there's filters, take a picture. But they're getting paid for that. And that's, and now with Shazam, I see people in the grocery store at Trader Joe's going, yeah, I'm trying, what is this? So, people are using Shazam to hear songs in Trader Joe's. So any exposure you can get is worth it, I think. I hope that helps, Allie.
Yeah, helpful. I was also wondering if it's not too much of an imposition if I reach out to you to pick your brain a little bit about specific things.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. Martin and Molly have my email. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, more than happy to help out.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? I saw Chris had a really good question, and I lost it.
Is it the one from Brent Kernan? What would you say your most valuable lesson from your music industry career is?
Yeah, most valuable lesson.
Learn something from anything. It's you never know what's going to come around the corner. I mean, one of my favorite stories is meeting Steve Lillywhite. I had no idea what Steve looked like. I met him at a Grammy party, and I had a few minutes to tell him that he produced my all-time favorite records, and he thought I was pulling his leg. And I told him, I said, the drums, the guitar, this and this, and it all came together. And then when you did the second record, it was even better. And he's like, wow. So, I mean, you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who's going to be there. Another thing is just be nice. Don't be a dick. We have way too many people who are just bottom feeders everywhere. Just be nice to people. I mean, Tom Wally, who was one of the co-heads of Interscope and Warner Brothers, started off in the mailroom. You never know. Be nice to people in the mailroom. Be nice to the assistants. The assistants get all the work done. Just be nice. Be that rare unicorn to hold the door open for somebody. Maybe that sounds kind of, hokey, but just think about it. Just be nice and be, if you're going to do something, if you're going to say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely.
Somebody
Molly,
said,
do you have something?
I had a question. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Oh God, I guess.
you are.
I'm kidding. Of course you do.
I'm
My God.
embarrassed.
You are not. Moving on.
Next.
Okay. Well, I had a question. So you said, you're like the first person, like the person that asked you to come be her assistant in LA.
Yeah.
It was a her, which
It was
for the 90s is like super, like unusual, I think. And like even now, the only time that I've ever worked under a woman was my first internship, and she was an assistant engineer. Like that's the only time I've worked under a woman. So how was like that relationship? Like did you notice like things that like she had to do specifically, or like, I don't know, like maybe it's like a non-issue. I don't know. I was just wondering.
No,
like,
my feeling is, this is just my own personal feeling. the world would be a lot better off if there were more women in positions of power. Because guys are idiots. Sorry, guys, but we are.
Cosign.
It's yeah. But I mean, but she was, towards the end of our relationship, Molly, her and I didn't get along very well because she was there. She was there to be kind of a scenester person. She had the dreadlocks and, did all sorts of weird shit. And I was just there to work. And,
And those are two different kinds of personalities. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
have to do with her being a woman or you being a man.
No, not at all. No. And at Interscope, half of the executives were female. Brenda Romano.
That's so cool.
She's one of the senior presidents of promotion. Let's see, Christina Malash, a lady I worked with who I still keep in touch with. She was head of marketing. She was a badass. And at Warner Brothers, we had Rochelle Staub. We had Carol, I can't remember her name. But we had tons of strong females. And they were badasses. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Carol Hart. There you go. Larry Butler, right there.
Hi, Larry.
Yeah.
Larry's on the call.
Carol Hart. Larry Butler was the guy who looked like a high school principal who knew everything. Larry, that's a compliment. Just take it that way. But yeah, honestly, I think the world would be better off if we had more women in charge. I swear to God. I'm not trying to earn any brownie points. I don't care. I'm too old to care. But it's like, yeah, the world would be better off.
I think a lot of us agree with that.
Yeah.
Nathan,
there should be more women in power in the music industry because they bring a level head of, yes, Molly, yeah.
In the world, I mean, you start to investigate this stuff.
Look at Angela Merkel. Look at Jacinda from New Zealand.
She's brilliant. And it's like 9% of investment funds go to women. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Nathan Taylor back asked, would you say it's still relevant for undiscovered performers to submit their music to labels? Or
Yes.
would it be more worth time spent to self-release and promote?
Both. Don't just go down one alley. Get a handful of balls and throw them down all the alleys.
Yeah.
Don't spend all your money putting things into, one way. Just promote the hell out of it. Still promote the hell out of it. And also, send music to labels. Now there's so many independent labels. They'll let you know yes or no really quickly. Big machines will take their time, but there's also so many more labels out there. There's so much more distribution. The Orchard is a great distribution company. CD Baby is another one. You can get your music out to anybody in a physical or digital format. And, look at Tech Nine. Tech Nine has done everything without a major label. Even Chance the Rapper. These guys have been throwing a ton of money, and Chance is doing something with Warner, I think. But, Tech Nine is not compromised. He plays with the Juggalos every once in a while, but, hey, money's money,
Okay. Any other? Oh, now somebody's asking about this new thing with Facebook, whether you won't be allowed to stream on Facebook.
I heard that. Yeah, I think they're gonna start taking streaming like live performances down. Something like that. I think I read about that on Music Business Worldwide.
I don't really understand what the purpose of that is.
I think I can clarify. My understanding, I'm a DJ primarily, and my understanding is because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, myself and like every other DJ is completely out of work, so everybody immediately went to Facebook Live. So I think they're trying to shut down copyrighted music coming from DJs being on Facebook as like a primary destination. So everybody's moving to other platforms to licenses.
Man, I hate to say this, but I kind of see it from the business standpoint. But that's not cool for you guys. That's not. Yeah.
Well, they're just gonna Facebook is gonna help start something else,
They have to. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, right now, my understanding is there only is one platform, Mixcloud, that is catering to DJs because they've already taken care of all the licensing, and everybody else is just kind of people go wherever else they can. That's not Facebook.
Okay.
I'm sure that's a hot topic for everybody else.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like whack-a-mole. You knock that down, something else is going to pop up somewhere else. Everybody will go to that one, so it'll, yeah.
But they pull the accounts, right? They don't. Is there a warning, or do they just pull your account?
They give you a flag if it's a copyrighted thing, a copyrighted song that you play or anything that's copywritten, and the audio fingerprinting software detects it. Then you get a little notification on your profile, and you can dispute them and claim fair use. And I've had success with that, but like in the course of a 2-hour set, I'm playing like 220 songs. It's just there's no possibility of getting by all of them.
Right. I got flagged for a video that was like one of my songs. I'm like, fuck off! It's my fucking song, So we could do a Pigface live stream, but it might get. Okay, as long as it's not copyrighted live music. Well, my music would be copyrighted. Yeah, well, we're going to see. Well, we'll see how this.
We have a hand raised by Reg Blore.
Yeah, my understanding of the Facebook thing isn't just about copyright. They just don't want it to be used for that. Their rationale was that they want their live feature being used for like families to connect or something, according to the articles I read.
Yeah, and getting Trump reelected, mostly that. Probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they contradicted that too themselves. They came out with another statement to clarify. They said, no, we do want performers. We just don't have licenses for copyrighted music. But the terms of the service doesn't say that. It's different. So they're contradicting themselves. Yeah.
But YouTube doesn't have the licenses either. They have the indemnification where it's like, I do own this copy of Hawaii 5-0 that I'm uploading. Like,
Yeah.
And if you get found out, like, oh, don't do that again.
But also YouTube does do licensing as well. If someone uses my music, I get paid on YouTube.
Right.
But not so on Facebook. They don't have that system, I don't think.
Wow. Wow. Just
The guy, I read an article from the guy from CD Baby, essentially saying something to the similar is only in that what they're wanting to isolate are people who are uploading videos with, say, it's my music, but here's a pretty picture or whatever with it. They want it to be content driven, but not have copyright infringement areas.
Wow.
So it's a kind of a mess, really.
I think they just don't have a means of checking for copyright. That's the problem. But YouTube has Content ID. It's automatic.
Right. But, thanks, Facebook. Like, everybody's freaking out. Thanks a lot. One thing you could do right now, it's just to kind of de-stress people, support people, and help. I mean.
But now Zuckerberg needs more money. So.
He needs something. He needs a good kick.
Swift kick. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're an hour and a half in. I'm going to wind this down so I can go prepare for my ear surgery. Yeah.
It's been so lovely. Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
It's always nice to talk to you, Matt. And I miss sitting at Caribou Coffee with Madison. I actually miss Madison. What a great city that is.
It is. It's a good place. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you'll join us at some point in the future, Matt, and consider yourself a Midwest Music Expo alumni, and you're already a Tour Smart alumni. And thank you.
Absolutely. I'm always I'm always more than willing to help out in anything I can. You know that. Yeah.
And, oh, there's David. Come to El Salvador. Okay.
Come to New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Now, New Zealand, I got to say, I'm reading a book now about Flying Nun Records. So I'm a
I'm
big
on
fan.
their label.
Oh God. Yeah. What's the name of your project?
Fetus Productions.
Okay.
That was from the 80s.
Fetus.
Fetus, F-E-T-U-S.
Oh, it's not like scraping fetus off the wheel?
No, we
Okay.
were around the same time as him, but
Okay.
we're from this neck of the woods.
Okay. I will check it out.
Cheers.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Flying Nun.
What's the name of that festival in New Zealand where it's all bands that nobody's heard of? The guy who runs the festival sometimes ends up like sitting in someone's bedroom listening to their demos to put them on his festival, and bands jam and there's no rules, and it sounds insane.
All these things are kind of closing down here, obviously, but the ones I do know of are Laneway, which is quite a big one.
Is there
and
Inside
Big
Out?
Day Out.
No, it's Big Day Out is like a big festival.
That's a big festival. Yeah.
I was on a panel with this guy, and it was somebody from Primavera Festival in Barcelona, which is huge with 15 stages. And then this other guy who has 200 people at his festival in New Zealand. And it was completely insane. I'll have to find out the name of his festival.
There's a whole lot of guys who've got land up north and down south who can get thousands of people in there.
True, yeah.
So I've been to a few of those. But yeah, like I said, a lot of them are closing down just because of financial problems and what have you. You know, so there's not a lot of venues here.
Spaghetti noodles.
Well, okay, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Chris Brennan, it was really nice to see you. And congratulations on being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And good night to Ali's kid.
Oscar. His name's Oscar.
See you,
Good night, Oscar.
Get up to bed, Oscar.
Go up to bed, Oscar.
See you, everyone. Thanks again.
Good night, everyone.
See you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Molly.
Martin.
Thanks,
Molly.
Martin.
Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.